welcome back. We are trying something different. Well, technically, we did this before.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't like how it came out. But we're back with the Brandon Darrel Experience, the BDE pod.
Yep.
So
we're here.
We're doing video format for from now on. We're at least going to try it out for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start this episode with finances. That doesn't sound that fun. But we're just going to be talking about money and how it's bothering us and living the life of a Gen Z, millennial, whatever you want to call us.
Adult,
like,
yeah.
Basically adulting, essentially. It's not really nothing like financial advice or anything like that. But we can just kick off with just, I guess, personal finance in general. What we've been learning in terms of like Caleb Hammer.
Yeah.
He's a nice YouTuber that you should go check out as well. He goes and does financial audits on people, ranging from people who have lots of money and don't know how to spend that money properly, well, not how to spend it, more so how they should use it in a budget.
Like how they should save it or like not go overboard in their spending and not end up in a ton of debt.
Yeah, and basically he's helping people in the younger age range from he goes from 18 to like 40 plus. But it's basically advice that you should have gotten like when you were a kid or what you wish you got as a kid, because I think we both can relate to not knowing anything about personal finance, especially now that we share a space together in this nice townhouse that we have.
I think it's interesting watching his videos. So Brandon was the one that kind of introduced me to a lot of this stuff, but I had seen some of his content before, like pop up on like my For You page on TikTok and stuff. And he essentially tries his best to provide advice to these people who are really not financially literate at all. And weirdly, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm not financially literate. It's more just trying to be more strategic with saving and investing and things like that. He kind of has like an idea on like how to kind of be better with those things. And so every time I watch like one of his videos, I find myself kind of learning something new to some extent. And so it's interesting seeing it because weirdly, sometimes like, I don't know, I think for everyone, like money can be kind of a stressor to some extent.
Totally.
It's something that is funny because like you can get into like the weeds of like, technically money's fake. And like, is it fake? Kinda, yeah, but
it matters.
It matters because that's just how our society operates.
Exactly. And there's like a lot of stigma behind that too. In terms of like, if you talk to someone about like money and like how much you make and whatnot, I think people start feeling weird about it.
Yeah, and I think that like it's interesting too because like, so like obviously money doesn't necessarily define you as a person, but weirdly I think society kind of has this thing about like how much people make in that like you have various tax brackets, various ways that people live their lives. Some people can be very wealthy and you not know it. Some people like to flaunt their wealth. And I think to some extent like that's kind of like affected the way that people look at each other to some extent. And it's very interesting because like, of course, like you've probably heard this a million times, like, oh, you should never tell people like your salary. You should never like give people that information and or whatever. And I guess the reasons for why I've heard that before is because, well, one, it's none of people's business, and two, it's that thing of not wanting to be judged based off of how much you have in your bank account.
Yeah, I think even our friends have said it before that they're like kind of iffy about it because they don't want to be judged in the sense of like what they're spending their money on.
Yeah, exactly.
So like say like our friend XYZ is like, hey, I just bought this thing. And they're in the back of their mind, they're thinking, I hope they don't like think I just spent like, let's say $200 on this when I have this amount of rent or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Which is like fair. Like I wouldn't want to be judged on like my purchases either. But at the same time, it's like, I think people, have their own lives and like they don't really like how you spend your money is how you want to spend your money, and like if that makes you happy, then go for it. Obviously, I think everyone just has different approaches to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that there's almost like various different arguments for like why people do those things or whatever, because like of course like you should be saving and you should basically be keeping your future in mind. As Caleb Hammer would always say, you don't want to die on the Walmart floor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there is kind of that argument of like I want to be happy, you know. I want to be able to like live my life to the fullest and really get the chance to like do things like travel and basically go out and have fun. Like maybe I shouldn't spend $100 on a night out, but I just really want to. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to balance. And like I fully understand like how people don't necessarily want to be judged by it, but in a weird way, I think that like it's helpful to talk about all of that stuff because I think that again, financial literacy is not something that everyone has, and so weirdly, I think it helps people get an understanding of where they're standing as far as like their finances are concerned, or where they can improve. Because I do feel like to some extent, like I've definitely thought about before, like seeing other people do different things, like going back to traveling, for example, people who like travel all the time. I'm thinking like, oh wow, like that's so nice that they have like the means to really go out and do that. I feel like if I do that, I'll literally be homeless. But then like there are times where I'll come across videos of people who are doing that, and then they're like, guys, I literally have $0 in my bank account. I'm in like $100,000 in credit card debt, and I'm like, ooh. Maybe you don't have the means for that, but like at the same time, like I get it. Like you want to go out and have these experiences, and if that's what you want to use your money on, and you're willing to take that risk, like go off, do it.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like it's a weird thing to kind of get into, but I think it's an interesting topic, especially now. And of course, you can tell that if this interests you, you're getting old. But that's fine.
I think that's been the biggest thing to me, like watching those videos. And it's
Yeah.
not just like him. There's other like finance like bros that I've been watching now.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm an adult. I don't really.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
like this. I mean, thank God I'm not getting into like investing and stuff like that, because then I'd be like, I think that's like stock territory.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I
like,
can't.
I don't want to think about that. That's too like deep.
Yeah, no, I'm
That's
not.
too deep cut.
I'm not down that deep down the rabbit hole, but then I find myself watching full YouTube videos of people explaining like tax law and and talking about like
It's so applicable.
new like legislation about taxes and getting into like explaining how health insurance works, like down to like the different types of policies, and I'm like, ooh, this is fascinating. So
I think it affects us now so much.
yeah, exactly.
Because
exactly.
like you said, like you're like with your insurance rates going.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I am 26. I have my own health insurance
Gross.
tier. But yeah, no. Recently, I did see that my health insurance rates did go up for next year, and it's not too significant of an increase, but it is enough where I was like, why? Like,
Well, yeah, I think that's what we mainly want to talk about this episode.
Yeah.
It's like how crazy the economy is just going. Not necessarily the economy specifically, just like how we've been affected by the economy.
Exactly.
Because I'm not an economist or anything like that, but it's just like everything is going up. The prices of everything, and I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah, because it's I don't know. It's just really crazy how everything has been, especially for us being two adults who got out of college around the time of the pandemic. So like,
yeah, fast forward 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I graduated in 2019. I got my my first job October of 2019, and then basically as soon as 2020 hit, specifically March 2020, then it was working from home 24/7, you know, and of course the economy was hit by COVID and everything like that, and so it's just been very interesting to see that. Now, of course, like there are people who probably have gone through worse. Of course, there was like the 2008 housing crisis, and I'm trying to think, like even going all the way back to the Great Depression and stuff. But like, it's just really interesting because I don't think I ever realized how expensive everything is until I got to the point in which I actually started having to like
buy everything.
Really pay for everything myself. Yeah.
Yeah, like buying your own car too.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, so I'm gonna put this much money down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of money down. Or it's like actually finally recognizing, at least for myself, like interest rates and like how important like interest rates are to like whatever you're financing. So like thankfully for us, we got like low interest rates for our car.
Oh,
but,
yeah, thank God.
But other people, like especially again, we're gonna go back to Caleb Hammer a lot.
Yeah.
But that's just like the biggest eye opener, like to like basically not everyone's financial, but like apparently like average people's financial.
Yeah.
Where they're just fucked with
exactly.
with high interest rates for everything, their car, their credit card, anything that they like basically got a loan for.
Yeah, and it can be people who you would not think that they are in a position where like they're really messed up. But like there was one person I remember distinctly that like Caleb was talking to where they had this really nice car, nothing like too fancy, but it is a nicer car. And like, but then it's like, oh, they're in like terrible credit card debt again, and like their interest rates are like 20-30%. And then like on top of that, like on the car, the interest rate on that was like 6-7%. And that to me sounded wild because I mean, personally, I will say, I got a low interest rate, 2%. I think that's very reasonable. I'm sorry, once you're getting closer to 10%, what's going on? I think that's wild, and I think that like it's interesting too because even hearing him talk about it, he's like, yeah, that's high, but then like where the economy is, that's just how it is, and I'm just thinking, really?
Like, that's bad.
Like, does it, like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound right at all.
And then those same people want to buy houses.
Yeah, and
especially in this economy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, which, going back to, like, our personal lives, so we have, like, friends that are buying houses now.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm going, how?
Yeah.
How are you buying a house right now?
Yeah, and it's, like, and it's interesting, too, because, like, when people are interested in buying those houses, so, of course, like, you've probably heard, like, all of like the arguments of like, okay, it's cheaper to buy a house than renting because like your mortgage rate and like the amount you're paying for your mortgage and things like that. Basically the amount you're paying for your mortgage matches that of your rent essentially, but then like you're actually getting equity from the home. So you're basically increasing your value and stuff like that, which on its face like sounds great and sounds amazing. But then like you realize
the amount of maintenance and upkeep.
The maintenance, the upkeep, the taxes, which the taxes alone is what like makes me go,
yeah. Do I really want a house?
Yeah, like can I? And it's just crazy. It's really crazy how it is with that, especially compared to like older generations where it seemed like things were. I mean, of course, like there is kind of like a balance to it. But things back then were cheaper. But then when you hear about like how cheap, I'm just sitting there like, oh wow, like. Because, like, even for myself, I go to the movies a lot. If you didn't know that, hi, hello, I'm a movie person. And essentially I think of, like movie tickets as, like, kind of like a metric. And that seems like a really weird thing about, like, hearing from, like, my grandparents that, like, you could get into a movie for, like, 10 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents. Then it's like, okay, you get in for, like, $1. Okay, $5. And then I remember as a kid, like, it used to be, like, okay, get into a movie, it's, like, $10, maybe less. Like it could be as low as $6. And then now, like unless you're going to see a matinee or depending on what theater you go to, because of course there are some like smaller business owners that own like little niche theaters. If you're going to like a Regal or an AMC, it's like $15 to $20 for just the standard ticket, and that's crazy to me. There was a time where like I remember an IMAX ticket being $18. Now it's like $26.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's why we're like standard.
Yeah, exactly. And so and maybe a weird metric, but like that to me was kind of like the thing that because of course like in high school, even middle school, that's when I first like was like, oh yeah, I'm not just going to the movies with my parents. I'm going with myself. I'm going by myself with some friends. I'm going to go pay for my ticket. And so like that's always been the thing that like I've noticed is like I'm spending so much money on this. Why is that? Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah, and sorry, that's like a weird segue, but like, sorry, go ahead.
I know it's good. I think the commodities have just been going up. I mean, for me specifically with video games, like video game titles, at least AAA titles, have gone up by like $10. So
yeah.
Usually they used to be like $60, tax, whatever. And now they're like $70, $80.
Yeah, exactly.
For a game, and I'm just like, that is getting mad expensive. And like, sure, like the quality and the fidelity of gaming has gone up, but for some games, there's no reason for the price creep.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it's hard for me to kind of like grasp where those increases are coming from necessarily. And I get it, inflation, I know, but I just don't fully get it.
But if that's the case, jobs,
need
to be paying more.
Yeah, which is what like it's weird. Well, because you think that like okay, with the increase in prices, of course, like with inflation, you think that people would be getting paid more, for everything. Like okay, of course, prices are going up, which means that the cost of XYZ, the cost of operations and things like that goes up. But then like those prices go up, but then you hear about people who work in those industries, specifically like I know in the video game industry and like the VFX industries, like they're not getting paid what they're worth.
Or SAG.
At all. Or SAG strikes.
Yeah.
Studios pay them more. It's insane. But they're not getting paid more. And so the question is like, where the fuck is that money going?
It's they're just burning it.
That's what I mean. Like it's just going up in thin air, and like, and on top of that, like going back to VFX work and things like that. And I mean, there's probably less so with video games because of course there's still deadlines that need to be met, and there are probably plenty of video games that kind of have like this issue. But like with like big budget like things like movies and TV shows, specifically movies though, like a movie can cost like $200 million, right? And then you go into that movie and you're like, where did the money go? Because this feels like this is a money laundering scheme. Like something's happening. Because like we had gone to see, I know you like this movie, but I did not. Ant-Man, Quantumania.
I mean, I wasn't crazy for it.
No, I know, but like you enjoyed it on some level, and I came out literally like that was the worst thing I've seen in many years.
See, I would understand it more for Thor. For Thor: Love and Thunder.
But at least Thor had like some interesting stuff here and there.
You think so?
I think so. I would say so.
More than Ant-Man?
It at least had what's his name? Had Christian Bale. I like what Christian Bale was doing in that movie.
I like how that's symmetric. It's like, at least we have Christian Bale.
I mean, honestly, I said I wish the movie was about him. I digress. I wish the movie was about him more.
We had Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, but like it's not good enough, unfortunately. I'd rather watch Creed 3. So in VFX. I'm sorry. So the VFX work in Ant-Man. And of course, also Thor had this problem. So sorry. That is a thing because that floating head was an atrocity. Like that was a crime on humanity.
I mean, that was also probably intentional though.
Well, that's the thing. So Thor: Love and Thunder to me feels like the type of movie where like some of the bad VFX and some of like the bad like stuff. I mean, granted, Taika Waititi received a lot of like backlash because like it seemed like he didn't really care that much, and he probably didn't. But at the same time, like it almost kind of fits like the vibe of the movie. With Quantumania, though it was jokey, I got the sense that it was meant to be taken a little bit more seriously with certain things. And so when they introduced things like MODOK, which
that was funny though.
That was horrible.
I think that was
I was not laughing. I was upset.
You know, like his little tiny butt?
No, we did not need that. We did not need that at all.
We never need a lot of things, but it's what the people wanted.
Oh, Jesus. But, like, it's like the way that MODOK looked, the way that the everything, anything that was CG in that movie looked horrible. And that's not me shitting on the work of the VFX artists. That's me basically looking at Disney and saying, how the fuck are you allowing for this to be put into theaters? Like, how are you allowing for these people to be overworked, underpaid, and then basically the quality of work is very low, considering the fact that, like, if you give those VFX artists more time, then the things would look a lot more refined and a lot better. But Disney is basically working them to the ground, and it doesn't make any sense. They're not getting paid enough for that to even be worth it.
Yeah, there's plenty of, like, online creators that probably have, like, a few months' time, and they can make something look just as good or at least better than what they're outputting in probably like a year's time.
Yeah.
And, again, that's, like, not bashing the artists themselves, but that's going to show that, like, a single artist can basically recreate what a team of artists had the resources to do in a, like, big budget movie. So
exactly,
it sounds like either one, the implication is that they're not hiring good enough artists, or two, they're being underworked and like overstressed with like the time crunch of trying to like push out these movies as fast as possible.
Yeah, exactly, and it just doesn't make any sense that it's like that a studio as major as, we're using Disney as kind of an example, but like this is still the case with other studios as well. Like, I mean, I was about to say 20th Century Fox, but they're gone.
By Disney.
Tier. No, but yeah, I was gonna say Fox, but it's Disney. Like Universal also had this issue, specifically like you can see it in like the Fast and Furious movies and the, what is it called, Jurassic Park stuff. And like it's just kind of ass, because like there's no reason for these studios with the amount of money they have, and especially like the heads of those studios, the fact that they have like billions of dollars like just sitting in their pockets, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Wait, just the idea of just like an inflated amount of money.
I mean, honestly, that's like, yeah.
It's like, oh man, what are we gonna do with all this money?
Literally, they can just whip out their phone and then just like send you $1,000 without even thinking about it. But they wouldn't do that though, because they want to keep their money for reasons. For reasons that I don't even know.
We're over here just like, $1,000 can mean a lot to me. That would change the world.
$1,000 could really get me out of debt, and they're like, oh.
They're like, oh. Speaking of debt, hard transition. Student debt.
Oh.
We have to pay
God,
that
I'm
again.
upset.
So upsetting. I don't care where people stand on the matter of just like, should we get $10,000? Yes.
Oh yes, the Biden.
We should.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think. We should.
Well, yeah, that was a whole.
But now
ride.
we're paying it regardless. So fuck you, whoever voted against it, which would be those two bitches who had no say whatsoever.
Yeah, no,
they were
it was like
they're just like, hey, this makes me feel my meow meow and my meow meow. This makes me feel bad. And it's like, I don't give a fuck if this makes you feel bad. It's like, I paid my debt. It's like, who cares?
Oh my god! If you don't know, the "In My Man" thing is from a meme. But yeah, no, it just doesn't make any sense to me, because it like, so the whole like forgiveness thing, I was super excited about. I mean, I personally am in a better position than a lot of other people when it comes to debt.
Yes.
And so that thing, like, regardless, money's money. I was still very excited about that. And so
$10,000.
$10,000 is a lot. And the fact that could definitely help people who really, really needed it. Like the $10,000, and then on top of that, the $20,000 for anybody who had like Pell Grants.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's more so for the people who didn't finish college. I think would drastically help.
Oh, 100%. If you didn't finish college, what?
Yeah, you don't have the earning income to pay off the debt that you get.
More than likely you don't. And on top of that, like, I don't know, student loans in general are just so weird, because they are so. I mean, there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're really predatory in most cases.
Yeah, because
it's weird.
You got a 17, 18-year-old who's basically signing their future life away to things they don't understand, because their parents were like, go to college. Go to college. And you're like, okay, I guess we'll go to college. I don't know what I want to do. Because like that's like literally the majority of people go in undecided.
Yeah.
And then they're just there for like 4 years, if not more, being like, oh, I'm still kind of not happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah. But then what makes it really annoying though is that like you hear about people who are like, oh, well, I paid off my debt, and I did this, and I did that. First off, Gladys, you went to college when college only cost you $10, so calm down. But second, the whole, like, idea of, like, okay, you need to really work hard to pay off this debt, it just doesn't hold up, because going back to what we were saying about people getting paid enough, no one's getting paid enough in order to be able to eat, let alone pay off a student loan debt that in theory was supposed to be an investment into their future that would allow them to like open up more doors for them to get certain jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
And it really, really is unfortunate that like a lot of times those things don't really pan out in the way that you expect it. And especially with college degrees, because now we're at a point where like we were told when we were younger, of course, to go to college. Once you go to college, you'll be able to get a good job. Maybe go back to school to get like a higher degree. Yeah. Then you get into the workforce. You'll get paid enough to really support yourself, your family, whatever, and basically build a future for yourself. But we're at a point now where there's an oversaturation because people all follow that model, and then basically like you as like, let's say you have a bachelor's degree and you're going for an entry-level job, you're up against not just other people with bachelor's degrees, you're up against people who also have like masters and PhDs who are also struggling to find jobs. Like, what is happening? Like, why is that the case?
Yeah.
And like,
I think I heard before that like when we were looking for our jobs, especially the 2020 graduates, that we specifically were still competing with people from the 2008 like recession who did not get jobs. Which is just like, that's crazy to me. That there's like a 12-year like span of people that are also competing for jobs similar to, well, not specifically the same jobs as us, but it's still they're still in the job market looking for jobs.
Yeah, and some of these jobs are like they're really getting bold with what they're requiring for people to have skill wise to get into a job.
Hey,
like what?
For this entry level position, I'm going to need you specifically to be at least 3 to 5 years experience in this position already. I know you just got out of college, but you should have at least gotten like you got internships, right?
Oh my god.
Did you? Right? But for those internships, you also needed 1 to 3 years experience.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the internships.
Yeah, no, it was all. It's just it doesn't make any sense because I can speak for myself as far as like internships are concerned. I struggled so hard to get an internship in college, and what really made it difficult is that for whatever reason these internships now some colleges kind of incorporate this into your curriculum. So a lot of the internships that I would try to go out for whatever reason, they always wanted for you to be there during the school year, which by in itself is not a bad thing. But then basically, oh, this isn't an internship. This is a co-op. Like you want to follow a co-op model. But the school that we went to, there'd be a lot of different hoops to jump through in order to set that up. There are some colleges that have that like incorporated into their curriculum, yeah. But in our case, that wasn't incorporated. And so like for myself, I really did not have the time to work in an internship for X number of hours, then go back to school, take my classes, do my extracurriculars and all the homework assignments that I was being given and all of I didn't have enough time to really be doing all of that. And unfortunately, like the internship fell to the wayside. And though it's really great experience to get one, like it was just wild what they were requiring out of people to get an internship, period. And a lot of these companies, it's like, now I was an engineering major, so like a lot of these companies, like I just didn't understand like what made it so difficult, because I would be like, oh well, I'm not available during this time, but if there's any like summer opportunities that I could have, or I would go to like an advisor and basically be like, hey, is there any way I can kind of incorporate this into my schedule? And literally every time it was from the company, oh well, we'll look into it, and then they ghost me. And then from the advisor, it would be like, oh, that's not really something we do.
Yeah, not to mention that not for our specific major, but for some people, it would be unpaid internships. Yeah. Which is like also ass. So you're giving up so much time. Like I know, like specifically with my girlfriend. Yeah. She had to have two jobs essentially. So she had her internship, and then she had an actual job that would pay her. Yeah. Which is like stupid to me, because it's like the internship shouldn't pay you.
Unpaid internships should be illegal. That's insane. It's free labor. Oh my god, like that's really strange.
But it's about the experience that you'll be gaining.
Oh, fuck off! Like it doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? Experience is priceless.
Stupid. Because like, I can understand. So I understand like that whole idea of like, oh, you're doing this for the experience. So like certain jobs, like of course they're not going to pay you that much, and so like, but the real thing is like the experience that you're getting from that job. So I get that. But like that to me feels like, okay, then am I shadowing somebody? Like am I doing this job with the intention of basically taking on another job in the coming future? Or am I taking this job strictly for the experience, but unfortunately you're going to keep me in a certain position for years with no promotion or no kind of like no opportunities coming down the pipeline? And I just think that's just, I mean, on a base level, I just think that's like really unethical. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Yeah, it really is. And so like, and then like when you get into like all that stuff, you then get into like, okay, so we talked about like how much people are getting paid, and like student loans, like student debt, and how like it's very difficult to kind of pay off that student debt because interest rates are stupid. For student loans, interest rates are crazy. I will never understand. And of course, like there are some people who are fortunate enough to like have other means to help them get through college. Of course, like I will say my parents helped me out, and I'm very appreciative of that. And that's something that's like kind of like a privilege that I had. But I know there are plenty of other people who don't have that. Either they have strained relationships with their parents, or their parents are just straight up like unfortunately we're not going to be helping out with college, and that shit happens. And whether you get into the weeds of like should they be doing that or should they not, that's a whole other discussion. But then that just makes it even more stressful for those who don't have that, and especially when you're talking about like 18-year-olds who I know legally they're adults, but they're kids. Like these are kids who are basically being asked to make these really, really major adult decisions that will affect them in the future. But like when you reach that age, that's kind of the first time you really have to think about your future in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's just a lot to take on, especially as a kid, because they're just like the most important thing to you at that age is probably like, who am I taking to prom? Like honestly, because you're not thinking past like, okay, if you're an athlete, probably like student events like that. If you're in band, probably stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you're in the choir, singing and shit like that. Or like who's, you know, the drama like that. Like who's fucking who and who's dating who. Like not fucking like, okay, so my financial future is really dependent on what choices I make right now, and so I should really be taking the AP classes to save money, so I can get credits taken off of my college career, so I can take shorter time in college, so that way it's like,
exactly.
Like that is so much like to even like no one thinks about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all.
And it's like you're not like thinking about, and of course like there are certain people who are kind of given the tools to really think about that. So that like I know like there are a lot of parents out there who are like very much like, no, I need my kid to know these things. But at the same time, like you can make the argument that that kid is literally just following your instruction. They're not actually like making decisions for themselves. You know what I mean? And like there's a reason for why like we always talk about this statistic. The majority of kids that go to college, they go in undecided because they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, and like I think that's why we've been seeing a lot of more, at least in my perspective, like kids younger than us doing the more untraditional routing. So like stuff like Twitch or YouTube, and like not saying that's like where people should go, but it's definitely an alternative that's paying dividends. Yeah. Like I literally before my job was cutting grass for people. The one person I was cutting grass for, guess who? This freaking like Fortnite extraordinaire kid who's like has a fucking Bugatti or Ferrari in his fucking driveway.
Oh my god.
He's like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
So like works out great for him. Like that it's just ridiculous that like, not that to say that we weren't presented those options, but I know for myself, like specifically, I don't think my parents would ever be like, yeah, play video games for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that it's more of a feasible. It's still like you have to be like, it's like a one. Not like a 1 in a million thing, because I think the internet skews how frequent and how many people get presented those opportunities, but it's still a higher percentage than it was when we were their age.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like it is interesting that like, so when you talk about like those kids who kind of start to get into those things, because now we're kind of seeing like, what is it, Gen Alpha?
Yeah,
are they old enough to like?
That's a good question.
I actually don't know when Gen Alpha started.
Probably, I want to say
it was like 2010.
Probably 2010. So probably not. They're like 13.
They're like 13 the oldest. Most. Okay.
So probably not them. So probably like late Gen Z.
Okay, so then yeah. So because I guess like one of the things about Gen Z is that like first generation to really grow up with like the internet and everything like that, like fully at within reach.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those like opportunities that happen like online is very interesting, seeing how like there are so many kids who are able to kind of capitalize on that thing, but then there's so many parents that kind of fuck that up. But yeah, no, and it's funny because like I know speaking for myself, like there was kind of always this thing about like, okay, practicality versus like kind of like, because you have to also look at like what like when you're talking about like your future career and basically like, for lack of a better way of putting it, making money, you also have to look at like the volatility of that.
Yeah.
And so like it's very interesting how like you have a lot of kids who are like that, who like kind of have that success, and then like, but then it's like, will they get to a point in which they like are like, I'm kind of done with this. What do I do now? I
mean, we are seeing that though in the workforce. So,
like, exactly.
That's why like everyone's calling like what the great resignation.
Like Great Resignation, yeah. Like
so
quiet quitting.
Yeah, quiet quitting.
Yeah.
And like I'll hear people, I think like people our parents' age being like, oh, kids are so weak. Like they don't work hard enough. And it's like, no, I think we just recognize their value in a company. And it's I think our generation especially knows, and I've been told this by the people I work with, like like your generation actually knows how to value your own time.
Yeah.
Which is like they think is crazy but also admirable. Where it's because it's like, yeah, I work to live, I don't live to work.
Exactly. And I think that like it's funny how like that idea is so novel to so many like older people.
They're like, wait, you care about what happens outside of work?
Yeah. Even though
we'll be getting emails at fucking like like on a Saturday at 3 a.m. be like, all right, I just sent this out. I know it was due yesterday. It's like, dude, like It's okay.
Yeah, because
the company's gonna burn down.
You so often will be like I'll every once in a while I'll like log on to like my work computer and just kind of like just to do some quick admin things like maybe submit a timesheet or just like check my schedule for the next day, and literally I go on there. I swear to God, there are times where I've received IMs, and this is at like 8:00 at night, and I'm like, I'm not responding.
Hey, hey, hi Daryl.
It's like I'm sorry. This is something for the morning. I'm literally on here for 2 seconds. This is not, and like. It's very interesting seeing that.
You turned the like away the notification on to you. It's like, I'm not here, please.
No, I mean if it's an urgency, I'll answer. But like it's like if it's something like really basic, like oh, can you check in on this thing?
Yeah.
Why am I checking in on it right now? Especially if it's not an urgency. Like what's going on?
Yeah, I think they view that as a lack of. They, as in like the older generation, I think they view that as a lack of like lack of care or lack of like not like doing your job effectively. But I think a lot of our generation is like now just doing the bare minimum, which is like companies don't like that, or at least the older people in the company don't like that. They want you to like make work so much of your life that they're just like, I want you to like live and breathe this company, to really embrace our values and like go above and beyond. It's like, yeah, that's like what we used to do, like to really get the promotion. But I feel like for us, at least, I think in our generation, they're like, I think getting the promotion is doing the job and doing a little bit extra. Like, just showing that you are a team player, at least.
Yeah.
But for them, they're like, you better be fucking on your knees. Like, going to town on, like, your boss. Like, that's how it feels. And it's
it does, yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I could, like, and I think that's why people don't say they love their jobs anymore. It's like, whenever someone asks me, it's just like, how do you feel about your job? It's like, it's a job.
Yeah, no.
I don't hate it by any means. Don't, if you're watching this.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but it's just like, I can't possibly be more enthused about it than the person.
Like, you can, of course, like, there are things about your job that you can, of course, like. And if you love your job, oh my God, amazing. Like, that's great. But, like, like, I think that, I feel like it's just, there's almost, like, this idea that, like, okay, so you work harder, right? And then basically by working harder, you'll receive some sort of incentive. Yeah. And that incentive will be basically the thing that everyone wants, which is more money. But then I feel like a lot of times companies have really dropped the ball on that thing, on those incentives. It will be like, oh, you've done a great job and we'll recognize you by putting your name on a plaque. We will recognize you by giving you a gift card.
You know what's funny though?
What?
So
what?
I probably shouldn't say this actually.
Wait, what?
So there's like, there's milestones for like your time in the company, right?
Yes.
For my company, there's a specific milestone. Let's just say a long time. You're there for a long time.
Yeah.
A certain person I worked with went to said event, and all they got for it was a T-shirt.
I'm sorry, did you say a T-shirt?
A T-shirt.
Yeah, no, no.
A T-shirt.
No.
Like.
No, I'd be mad. I'd be mad.
Yeah, that's like. They were upset.
Yeah, no, I would be mad. Like, that's insane.
If you give your life like a long part of your life to this company, because I think that's also a rarer thing now as well. Like people who stay with their companies for anywhere more than 5 years. Yeah. I feel like that's a rarity, which I think more companies are valuing if you stay with the company longer. But it's also like, why?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not getting the pay raises that you want, if you're not getting like the things that you want out of like a career path, like people are gonna dip.
Well, yeah, and I think that especially plays into like, because I think that that's one generational divide, or that's one place where the generational divide is very obvious, is that like, I think part of it is also the fact that is the job security.
Yeah.
And so like being in that job for a long period of time, like it's stable, it pays the bills, you don't really have to worry about like layoffs or whatever, depending on the industry or the job that you have. But then like you also kind of take into account things like the fact that like families. And so making sure that you have a steady pay for your family, I think that's a lot of times the priority for most people, which makes perfect sense and that's fully respectable. But I think that like that our generation, and honestly a lot of millennials too, the focus when it comes to our careers is less so about stability and more so about like this will sound a little bit weird, but almost like the immediate gratification of it to some extent.
Yeah.
And I say that in the sense that, like, not that you wouldn't be looking for, like, any sort of future opportunities. Not that you'd be looking for, like, you do want those promotions. You want to be recognized for your work, things like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you are, the immediate gratification that I'm talking about is, like, we're in an economy now where, like I said, it's very hard for people to kind of keep up with everything, with housing, food, all the other things that you have to spend money on a daily basis. It's really hard to keep up. And so, like, I think a lot of people, it's like, I want to get closer to, like, a certain, like, let's say I want to get closer to a 6-figure salary. I want to get closer to this. And when you're at a certain job, like, sure, it's very secure. But if you're only making, like, let's say 65K, right? And you've been at that job for, like, 5 years, that's not, it's not doing it.
Yeah.
And you're already struggling. So, like, why would I stay here if you're showing me that, like, that at the end of the day, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to literally pay my bills and take care of myself.
But they're like, we treat you so well, and, like...
And that's amazing.
We give you birthday cards on your birthday.
And that's amazing.
We recognize you.
That's great.
Christmas time, we give you gift cards.
That is awesome. But I just want money.
We can't do that.
Oh my God.
No, but I completely get it. It's like, it's hard to, like, trying to justify with yourself because a part of you is like, yeah, I do like the security, I don't want to leave, and, like, I like the people you work with.
Yeah.
But then you also come to the point where it's like, I can't live.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
actually live.
And I think that, like, with our generation, like, less so like marriage, but more so like actually having kids and stuff. I feel like people in our generation are having kids later.
Yeah.
And generally speaking.
But then they'll also complain about that. They'll be like, what's wrong? Like, we're going to have a population crisis.
Oh my God.
And you're like, and?
I'm sorry.
I don't care.
I'm sorry that I don't want to be raising a child at 22. Like, I'm sorry that that's not something I want.
And I also can't even raise myself. You want me to raise?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm still eating Cheerios for dinner. I don't know what you want me to do.
Girl dinner.
Did you say girl dinner?
Girl dinner.
No, but yeah, and it's like, I think that, like, because of that, that's also affecting the way that we look at our work. It's like, yes, I want to be able to have a family and support them, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm good before I start, like, having to make sure that other people are good at the same time. You know what I mean?
And that's just too hard to fathom.
Yeah.
For some people, they're just like, you should definitely put others before yourself. And it's like, no.
I don't think and it's not selfish by any means. I think that that's actually very reasonable, you know? And so, like,
I don't want to fuck someone else over if I can't even...
Yeah, it's like, because that's hard. And it's funny because that's also, like, when you're talking about money, that's also, I think, a major factor in a lot of people's relationships, too. Like, that can really affect...
I think that's, like, one of the major reasons for divorce.
Exactly.
Just, like, where's your money going? Or, like, how do they view money? Because, like, we mentioned before with Caleb, and his, like, some people just don't think money's a real thing.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'm just gonna blow it. So, like, if you have a partner, and they're just like, well, we're only gonna live once. We should just travel. It's like, yeah, but we gotta pay the bills.
Yeah.
If that's the other person's side, so.
Yeah, and so, like, because of, like, that difference in the way you view money, the difference in opinion, and even the difference in salary, those things can really, like, impact it. Because, like, recently I had watched this one movie. You know me. Recently I watched this one movie.
You watch movies?
On Netflix. It's called Fair Play. It was good. I had some issues with it, but it was good overall. But that's, like, a major thing that happens in that movie is that it's about this couple. They're engaged, and I'm forgetting the names of the characters, but in the movie, the actor's name is Alden, and the actress is Phoebe. Phoebe gets a promotion that Alden was up for but didn't get. And not only does, like, it affects him in a way that, like, basically, long story short, he turns into, like, an incel. It's very different. It's very extreme. But what I'm saying, though, is that weirdly, there's almost, like, this thing about, like in certain relationships, the idea that, like, the amount of money you have kind of presents, like, a certain amount of dominance within a relationship, and basically kind of it changes the dynamic significantly for these two people. And on top of that, there's other factors to it too. They both work at the same company. She technically becomes his boss, and they don't know that there's a whole bunch of stuff in that movie. But it's interesting though, because, like, I feel like that is definitely, like, a major thing that affects almost everybody in various relationships. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who get past that. There are a lot of people who are perfectly fine with it, but then there are a lot of people who are not. Who are actively not okay with it. I feel like
they're just looking at, like, from across the dinner table, the one guy's just like, and then their partner's like,
yeah.
How make more money than me.
Yeah.
Who paid for that steak? It's like
it's crazy. I mean, that gets into like a whole bunch of other weeds too about like, I don't know. Like I said, the dominance of the relationship, things like that. That gets into a whole other kind of part of like the weeds. But the fact that money is a major factor in that, I think, is so interesting because like I said, technically yes, money is just paper that's printed by the government. But at the end of the day, it does affect our lives.
It's not even backed on anything anymore. The gold standard's gone.
Yeah, it's literally just like the way you can imagine it. It's just like a giant printer that's just like constantly printing. But then they're like, if we print too much,
even though
the value will go down.
Even though we're apparently trillions in debt, but we're also the richest country in the world. How does that make sense?
Yeah, and then we're also sending
everyone else is fucking broke too.
Yeah, and then like I'm not even gonna get all deep into it, but like then we're sending money to other countries too, and it's just a whole it's a whole thing.
Everyone just owes other people.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, and it's the whole thing of like the, what is it called? The debtor's economy. Like we live in like a debtor's economy or whatever. Where like everyone, in order to survive, you have to be in debt. And which is funny because like it really is that. Because you think of things like credit scores being such a major factor in like whether or not you can get a house, buy a car, do X, Y, Z.
Which is crazy too, because people will be like, put it on credit, and then they care about their credit score. And then it's in the 400s. They're like, oh no, how did this happen? It's like, you didn't pay shit. Yeah,
exactly. And it's funny too because like they think that like the credit card is literally just free money. Like you get a credit card and it's just like, ooh,
I got $5,000 every month. It's like, no.
It's like, no. No, that's not how it works. Yeah, as Caleb would say, you're not a credit card person.
Cut it up.
You're not a credit card person. Cut it up. Throw it out. Close it. But don't close it because it might affect your credit. I still understand that.
Well, he says just to close it outright.
Yeah.
He said, fuck your credit, because your credit doesn't matter. Getting on this debt matters.
Yeah, exactly. But then I just find that really funny.
Yeah, I would feel weird, because it's like, but I still owe money. It's like, yeah, but at least that will get put into...
You can't spend money on it.
Which is also weird, like, workarounds, too, because it'll be like, it'll go to collections, and then you just have to ignore collections, and then eventually it just goes away. After 7 years. But it's like, I don't want to be hassled for 7 years.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Or you can renegotiate the value. It's like, you can pay a slighter or a lesser cost for the total amount.
Well, it's funny because that's how it is with any sort of debt that can't necessarily be attached to any particular thing, right? Because it's like, if you owe money on your house, if you owe money towards like your mortgage or whatever, they can take away your house, right? If you owe money on your car, they can take away your car. But then when it comes to like a credit card, they can't or student loan debt, honestly, for that matter, like you can't
take that.
It just goes away, which is really interesting. I mean, you should be paying it.
How are they going to take?
You don't want to be like dinged, but
How are they going to take back the Burger King I just ate? They come over, they're like, I need to repo that.
Yeah, it's
just. Like,
it turns out that other movie Repo where like they take people's organs.
That's a thing.
Oh, have you never seen? There's like there's one called Repo, the genetic opera, and then one called just Repo.
Is it a musical?
One's a musical, one isn't.
Oh wait, now I feel like I have heard.
Me and several other people watched it, and it was crazy. Paris Hilton's in it. It's really weird.
I saw the opening.
Yeah, it's a weird movie.
It's also a jukebox musical, right?
No.
I thought it was.
No, it's like a rock opera. It's a rock opera. Yeah, it's really weird. Addicted to the Knife. It's a really weird musical. But regardless, so the whole premise is that like so these people will get like an organ, for example, like let's say in the case of the regular Repo movie, someone will get like, let's say, a heart replacement. Mm-hmm. And that heart replacement is like a mechanical heart. And then they stop paying their bill. There are these guys that will come out and then hunt you down and then literally not just kill you, they will literally take the heart out of your body and then like leave.
So you're dead anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't kill you, but we'll just take the thing that you need to live.
Yeah, that's how they basically make sure that you're paying it. And if you don't pay it, then you're gonna die.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's like that's how it feels. I mean, it's obviously like a metaphor and everything. But yeah, still. And then that gets into like other things like medical bills, which goes into insurance again. But like medical bills being crazy. The fact that I still don't understand why dental and health insurance aren't the same thing.
Yeah, they're tied together. Or also how you like you don't automatically get itemized receipts for your medical bills.
Yeah, you have to ask for it. And
then they're like, oh, you can actually take stuff off your medical bill because of like how like mundane or stupid it is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you charged me $10 just to like fucking talk to me. Like,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna contest that.
I'm sorry. You charged me $500 for literally stepping a foot on this floor. Is that what I'm supposed to be understanding right now?
You're telling me that it cost money for me to call the ambulance while I was dying?
Like, and it's funny because like it's stuff that you really can't because I think the thing about it too that makes it interesting is the fact that like a lot of times when you go to a hospital, I don't think anybody really wants to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like not like I mean unless you have like a thing. No, most people don't want to be.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh well, there are like some stories of people who
want to go to the hospital.
They think they're chronically like ill on some level, and so they feel safe being in a hospital. That's what I mean. I
was imagining someone being like, I want to go to the hospital. Like, it's like the fucking Disney World.
No.
Like, I want to go. It's like, and do what? It's like, I just want to sit in the waiting room.
No, it's like a thing of you constantly feel like there's something wrong with you. And so like, by being in a hospital, yeah, kind of. By being in a hospital, you feel like you're safe. You feel like you know that you're okay.
It's almost like reverse agoraphobia, where it's just like you're afraid to leave your house, but instead it's like, I feel safer in the house. Or in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I don't think most people. And so like when you go to the hospital, it's not because you feel like you're just in a silly goofy mood that day. You need to go. Like there's something wrong.
I can kind of go for the hospital today. You want to go to the hospital
today? Yeah, like looks like I'm gonna go to the hospital today. I cut my finger. Guess I gotta go to the hospital. Like what?
I feel like drowning.
I feel like drowning. No, it's like you, like, let's say, God forbid, you fall down, have a seizure, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to the hospital. They charge you like you just decided to have a seizure that day. It's really crazy.
It's like, God damn it, you knew you were epileptic, right? It's like, no, I actually did it.
And then especially it's fucked up when like they treat it like they treat. It depends on what hospital you go to and what doctor you have, but then they treat you like you're a waste of their time. Like you being there is an inconvenience to them. In some cases.
Thank God I haven't had a doctor like that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. But I've definitely heard stories of people who like have had like those really bad experiences.
I think that's why people sometimes doctor shop.
Oh yeah, no, people doctor shop, and then some people are afraid of doctors altogether. Like they're afraid to go anywhere.
Definitely older people for sure.
Yeah, there are older people who have that. There are, I think, also some younger people too, because I think that there is like this thing of like people who, I know that this is something that we've talked about a little bit before, but then some people have like things about like fat phobia and things like that. And so because of that, they feel like they're just constantly, like by going to the doctor, like I don't know. I don't really know how exactly to get into it necessarily, but like there's a whole bunch of reasons why people like are just deterred by doctors in general. And money is one of them.
Money's also one of them.
Yeah, because the idea that you could literally be having like intense pain, like you could literally have like an organ rupture,
like,
and then the fact that like that's happened to you, and when someone's like, oh, call an ambulance, the first thing that some people will say is, no, I don't have insurance. That's so sad.
Yeah,
it's very sad that that's the case. And like, yeah, there's just a lot to it. Yeah. I don't know. I could get into so much more, but I know that we're coming up on
time, and we also have failed to recognize the time of day shifts.
Yeah, it may be a little dark right now.
Maybe a little
we could turn on like a light, but then it will be kind of weird, and the camera will have to refocus.
But that'll be actually spending money that we don't want to spend.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't afford the electric.
Why can't we just live in the world of Mariah Carey? Did you ever see that video of Mariah Carey?
Mariah Carey has free electric?
No. That's what makes it funny. So she was in an interview where this guy was like, asked her about like paying a bill. I don't remember how exactly they got there, but she was like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, a bill? Like whose bill? No, like a bill. Like an electric bill.
Is this what
and then she goes, oh no, he says like a water bill or something like that. And then she goes, you have to pay for water? Oh, in America it's free. And he goes, I can tell you right now, no, it's not. It probably feels like it for you, but it's not free.
This isn't satire?
No, it was really funny. I don't know if it was dead serious or not, but she actively looked confused and was like, what, a bill? What are you talking about? To live in that world, to be as rich as Mariah Carey, to basically be like, I don't even know what a bill is.
Catch this next episode on billionaires and why they shouldn't.
I don't think, is Mariah Carey a billionaire?
She's probably With All I Want for Christmas.
I know, but is she a billionaire? You know, I'm gonna Google this right now. Is she a billionaire? Because that'd be really funny if she.
She's probably not a billionaire, but she's probably really rich from All I Want for all the royalties.
No, for sure.
And the fact that she re-released that song how many times?
Oh, it gets re-released basically every year. No, she's not. She's only 340 million.
Oh, only 340 million.
I'm sorry, I said only, but no, yeah, 340 million. That's crazy. I wish I was on that level.
I wish I only had $340 million.
But you know who's now a billionaire?
Yes, I forget though. I just saw it. Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is officially a billionaire.
Good for her. Surprised she wasn't before.
I'm not surprised.
Because I feel like she's like the Michael Jackson of this era. I would say so. The way that she's like garnered and like respected by like worldwide.
I really struggle with that for a lot of reasons.
I don't like it. Believe me. I don't think anyone can compare it to Michael Jackson.
Well, no, I feel like Michael Jackson. So, I'm sorry, this is a very different conversation, and maybe we'll get more into it later because I'm not really the most well versed in Taylor Swift like that. But I feel like Michael Jackson was universal. Taylor Swift to me feels like someone who really only appeals to a very specific demographic.
But I feel like that demographic is worldwide.
That demographic is large. I agree with that, but I don't.
But she's also.
That's why I struggle with it.
But she's also been boosting the actual economy. Like she's been stemming the economy like everywhere her Eras tour went. Like
yes. I respect her.
Oh, yeah.
No, I
definitely.
I'm just
saying a modern day equivalent. I'm not saying a 1-to-1. I'm just. Oh, I guess equivalent does mean 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's why I'm like.
I'm saying there's an analog to.
I guess so. I
don't think anyone's ever going to be as big as Michael Jackson. That was like a phenom.
Yeah,
phenom.
Like I'm not even a Michael Jackson fan like that. But yes, no, I agree that like he was huge.
Yeah, because I was trying to put in my head like, is there anyone like that? Like Beyonce, I wouldn't even say. I feel like Taylor Swift is bigger than Beyonce.
I think Beyonce is a little bit more. Not that she's niche by any means, but I feel like Beyonce is a little bit more niche than that.
Yeah.
But I just really struggle with that. I don't know. I don't know. I just really struggle with that.
Because I'm thinking, like, in terms of, like, she had a similar trajectory if, like, there's a child with stardom that continued into her teens, and now she's in her 30s, and, like, it's only been upwards.
Yeah.
And she's only been bigger.
I guess my struggle with a lot of her stuff has just always been that, like, again, not that well-versed in Taylor Swift, haven't really listened to, like, full albums like that. Yeah. But just like every time I hear a song by her, I'm like...
If we're talking about like music notoriety, then yes, completely not at all the same.
Oh, well, yeah.
Michael Jackson had banger after banger after banger.
Well, like, I feel like Michael Jackson was a little bit more versatile. Every time I hear like Taylor Swift, it just sounds like the same to some extent for me.
He moved his genres with the times. Like he had like his debut like solo album.
Yeah.
Was very like of the eras of 70s. And, like,
yeah.
When he first came out with his solo.
Well, he evolved constantly, and like his music.
It was very that like disco kind of like era, and then it turned into. Actually, no, he had. So yeah, there was Off the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, but I think that was part of. I'm like trying to like play this.
Okay, maybe we need to make this like another topic because like we're kind of like getting into the weeds of it.
But anywho, yes.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. No. So yeah. So I guess a question I'm going to ask because like we are basically on time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically. So if you had to name a favorite billionaire, who would it be?
A favorite billionaire?
Yeah. Now to preface this, personally, billionaires. It's crazy that I'm not going to go as far as to say they shouldn't exist, but it is crazy that they exist considering the amount of problems that we've been having in the economy. That's all I'm going to say. But
I'm trying to think of like who's unproblematic and who I don't care.
I have a very easy answer.
I feel like you just say Rihanna.
Yes, she's my favorite billionaire.
I guess I'll go with her because I just feel like she's just living her life with A$AP Rocky.
Well, yeah, I just feel like...
And her baby.
I mean, of course, like, there are a lot of questions. I don't know. There's like a lot of things about her, but like I would never be sitting here and be like, yeah, my favorite billionaire is Elon Musk.
I mean, after the stuff she went through, I think she deserves to be a billionaire.
Oh, I 100% agree. I think that her music, throughout the decade, because like she was recently like album after album, like literally there was a period where she had an album a year.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she's taken this long break, I mean, I get it.
Then she did Fenty.
And Fenty Beauty is like major. And it's not even just like it's major and it's bad, like Kylie Cosmetics.
Oh.
I've heard many criticisms about Kylie Cosmetics. If you love Kylie Cosmetics, cool. I don't use them, but like I've heard that they're bad.
But do you like Skims?
I mean, I don't. I've heard good things. I don't use any of these products, so like I don't know.
I know neither of us do. But have you heard about the new nipple bras?
I'm sorry, what?
Wait, you didn't actually hear about this?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
So Kim Kardashian's releasing a new bra that has built-in like hard nipples, so that you always look perky. I wish this was made up, but it's real.
That's okay. That's a choice. Are there like different skin tones?
Well, no, it's a bra, so it doesn't.
Well, yeah, but you'd still want to like, or is this just strictly
it's just to look like you have hard
perky?
nips. Just so you look like you have hard nips.
That's okay. That's a choice. I don't know. I'm not gonna get. I don't.
It's like freeing the nipple without freeing the nipple.
I don't.
Cash grabs.
If you want to do all that, I don't really.
This is why Rihanna's our favorite billionaire.
I don't know. Rihanna's my favorite billionaire because I love all of her music. I think that she's really cool. I don't know, as a person, who knows? Maybe she's like, ugh.
This sounds like a thesis statement.
I'm just saying.
Rihanna's my favorite billionaire because.
I'm just saying, and she's really chill. And then she's upfront. She's like really, she's like honest. Like she's not like, she doesn't, because like as a billionaire, she doesn't like flaunt her money in a way that like feels like gross.
Yeah, she doesn't just rename a whole website to a letter.
Oh my god, I'm still upset about that. I actually started because I actually never really used Twitter until like within the last actually during the pandemic when I started using it.
It's just been, which I guess is it working? Is it successful?
I'm sorry, it being called X?
No, I just meant like the fact that we've been using it since he didn't buy it till recently. So
yeah. Well, he bought it, but then there was like a whole thing where like he was going through the legal process because he didn't want to buy it anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, it's officially his, obviously.
Yeah. I just think that because to me it's still Twitter. To almost everyone it's still Twitter. Yeah. I don't even know if for kids it's going to be Twitter. I think I don't even know if kids are going to call it X. I feel like a lot of kids are just going to call it Twitter also.
Do kids even use Twitter?
I mean, kids are on the internet, so I wouldn't be shocked.
No, I know, but I feel like it's like one of those things where like you get called old for using.
Well, we just talked about how like the youngest or the oldest like Gen Alpha or whatever is like 13, right? They're definitely probably been on Twitter because people talk about Twitter. It's like it may be an old person thing, but like people still talk about Twitter.
But what about like Facebook? You know what I mean? Like I feel like none of the kids like.
I think Facebook is a little different.
I feel like 16 and younger.
I feel like
Facebook.
I feel like Facebook. Yeah, I think Facebook is a little different. Of course, TikTok is like the go-to, but I still think people use Twitter.
Oh, okay.
I think Twitter is one of the few of like that era of social media that is still standing the test of time. Weirdly, and I think it's just because like it's not just used just for people to kind of post random bullshit. It's also being used like on like an actual like important scale, like by news media and things like that, for better or for worse.
I guess, yeah. And that's why Rihanna's our favorite billionaire.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all interesting. And I think that this is a topic that would be interesting to go back into, because I feel like we talked about a lot, but then also I feel like there's so much more I could get into.
Yeah, money's it's what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
And we hate it because of that.
Yep. Yeah, I don't hate money, but I hate what it does to people, and I hate the fact that literally like if you have no money, you're just out to die on the street and no one will help you.
And that's on God.
And that's on God? Okay. All right, with that. Okay, well yeah, thank you for listening or watching. Again, we're still kind of playing around with it a little bit with the video portion of this, but
hopefully that means faster uploads and more frequent upload basis.
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not promising anything.
Yeah, because
just know that we're still here.
We've tried it multiple times and it hasn't worked. So we just want you guys to know we're here. We want to make more content, and we will continue doing that.
Yeah, if you have suggestions, now we have a comment place on YouTube.
Yes, that's true.
So check out the YouTube. Well, you're probably watching this if you're on the YouTube channel. So comment down below what you might want to hear us discuss about, because we'll probably go back into our movies. There's one in particular that we would definitely be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll keep this up, and hopefully have to hang you some more.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, we now have YouTube as like a comment section, but we're also on Twitter or X. Bullshit. We're on Twitter. We're on all the social medias. So yeah, just if you want, hit us up with any suggestions, any questions, things like that. And yeah, so with that,
I've been Brandon.
I'm Darrel.
And this has been the BDE podcast.
Yep. Goodbye.
Get out of here, perverts.
Okay, well that's just rude. 3, 2, 1.
Why should it be like none of it was recorded?